Farcaster 101 is an educational series brought to you by GM Farcaster in partnership with Snickerdoodle, building off of their State of Farcaster report, which you can access at Snickerdoodle.com. This 12-part series introduces all aspects of the Farcaster ecosystem and helps you get started building your social graph and brand on Farcaster. GM Farcaster, and welcome back to Farcaster 101. This is module 7, and if you have missed the other 6 modules and you're like, and you don't know how you got here, you can find the full playlist on our GM Farcaster YouTube. And today we're going to be chatting about cryptocurrencies on Farcaster. So, Adrian, how are you doing today? You ready to chat about some coins?
Excited. It's hard to believe we've done 6 modules without talking about cryptocurrencies.
We've done pretty well. Yeah. We tried to set the foundation first, and now we're going to talk about all the cryptocurrencies that you may encounter on Farcaster and how they integrate into the protocol. So here we go. In this module, like I said, we're going to talk about cryptocurrencies on Farcaster, crypto use on Farcaster, crypto rails and payments, how it's set up for that. And we'll specifically in this module dive into warps and USDC. And in module 8, we're going to dive into all the meme coins and all the other different tokens that you may encounter. So, Adrian, can you kind of catch us up and talk a little bit about Farcaster's crypto rails?
Absolutely. So when we did the introduction of Farcaster in Module 1, we talked about how Farcaster is built on a blockchain network, specifically Optimism, which is a layer 2 on top of the Ethereum blockchain. What that means, and we talked about a lot of the benefits you get from a social network perspective. So because Farcaster as a social network is built on a blockchain, you get sovereignty over your identity. You as the user control it. And there's other benefits as well. It's decentralized, so that means there's no single entity in control. It's censorship resistant. So all of those features are benefits to Farcaster being a social network. But because it's built on crypto rails, you have inherently all of these financialization and kind of cryptocurrency functionality and built in automatically. It's because it's built on top of blockchain. So with Farcaster, when you create your account, everybody automatically, even if you've never been in crypto before, gets an Ethereum wallet spun up for you. So every Farcaster account has an Ethereum wallet. When you onboard through mobile and you create your passkey, you don't even realize you're getting one. So in the old days, you would get a 16-word seed phrase to protect it. You don't do that anymore, but just know that in the background, Farcaster spins up a wallet for you. You can get your seed phrase, and you actually do have full custody over that wallet. In addition to the built-in wallet, you have ability to add your own, a wallet you already own. So, and there's a way in your settings to connect and verify that you own a wallet. And we covered that in module 2 in terms of how to do it. So this is just the reminder that we haven't really touched upon cryptocurrency so much, but being built on a blockchain, you get a lot of just the blockchain benefits and kind of crypto functionality out of the box. So we're going to dig into what that means in these modules.
And these are the Legos that Farcaster has. And part of that is this built-in blockchain that helps us to drive a lot of activity. So $18 billion in total value is locked in the Farcaster ecosystem. And we know this from the State of Farcaster report by Snickerdoodle. And what that means, like right now, it's probably even higher. Depending on what the market is doing, this is pulling information from the wallets that are connected to Farcaster accounts. So you can see the full report on snickerdoodle.com, but we're going to dive into some of the crypto related pieces of this to kind of add a little bit more dimension into what is happening, what's the data look like right now in regards to crypto on Farcaster. And why don't you take this one, Adrian? We'll start here.
Yeah, so what you're seeing on this slide is data from this Data Farcaster report, just showing that the majority of people active on Farcaster are actively involved in crypto. So I guess it's 83% of respondents are familiar or active in crypto. Only 5% showed no interest. Not totally surprising, Farcaster being somewhat new and probably marketed to people who are familiar with crypto. But it's I'd say a pretty sophisticated audience in Farcaster when it comes to kind of crypto interest and activity.
And it's not surprising that ETH would lead in token worth and holders. So again, this was on-chain data analysis by Snickerdoodle, pulling the different chains and tokens that people are holding within their wallets. And we have, a large number of folks holding ETH on Base, and then also Degen, OP, Arbitrum, Polygon, ETH, Mainnet, BNB, Boomer, and Negen at that point. Those are a couple of meme coins. But mostly what you're seeing is different varieties of ETH, essentially, is what we're seeing here. You've got Base ETH, and you've got OP ETH, and you've got, Mainnet ETH, and all these different varieties of ETH, Arbitrum ETH. And so the ETH community is incredibly strong on Farcaster. Solana, you can connect a Solana wallet. It is also built in, but we just haven't seen as much development from that particular ecosystem yet. And hopefully that will come over time as well. So, and as they add other blockchains, I'm sure we'll see additional development into those ecosystems. But right now, what you see is a lot of building on top of Ethereum and a lot of the different L2s.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, I'd expect that to change over time. Like, I think it will be more, but that's just indicative that early on, the initial kind of community, because Farcaster has attracted devs so much, it tended to be Ethereum developers in that ecosystem. So on this, in terms of data on number of transactions, Base is the most popular chain in terms of transactions on Farcaster. Arbitrum is second with 23%. I think we see Optimism and Ethereum also significant activity. And yeah, nothing surprising here. Zora is making the list. A lot of kind of artist and creativity and NFT activity there.
I think if you go back to our discussion on culture as well, in the last couple modules where we talked about even some of the influencers and early folks who were on Farcaster, like really early, first, few hundred folks that were on Farcaster, Jesse Pollock from Base being one of them, Jacob from Zora being another. So it makes sense that they're going to be a little bit more active because they're connected early on and really integrated into the ecosystem. But it really doesn't take much for somebody to come in and start to build their own following. So it's, it wouldn't take much for the Arbitrum community to sort of sweep in and become really a big part of Farcaster very easily. They just
in our last modules, that's right. In our last modules, where we touched upon culture, one of the pieces I think about Farcaster culture that's important is, yes, there's a strong base community, but people are not necessarily religious or super dogmatic about the tools that we're using. So there really is opportunity for communities from other chains to grow and prosper. And the emphasis is really, what are you building? And Farcaster is also very consumer focused. So it's not, it tends to be more about what useful use cases are you building with crypto, not what chain are you building on?
Correct. Yeah. And I think the other reason that you see a lot of building around Base is not only because they have such an active community on Farcaster, but also at this point, a lot of people who are within the ETH community have Base ETH. So then once a lot of people have that in their wallet, it's easier to build for that community because there'll be transactions and activity. So again, that's the other reason I say Arbitrum could very easily become a leading chain on here, because you can see how many people are interacting already on Arbitrum, even though most of that activity is probably happening on their connected wallets outside of the Farcaster ecosystem, just because there isn't anything to do yet within that particular protocol. But soon. Yeah. Connected wallets, this kind of looks at all the different connected wallets, and sort of the big thing to think about here is the number of small balances prevalent in wallets connected to Farcaster. And to me, what that says is this isn't all about the whales. It's about the larger crypto community as a whole. It also could just be indicative of, you don't put your main wallet on here, might be the case. People leave a lot of things in safes. Do not connect a safe. I'm going to say that one more time. Do not connect a safe to your Farcaster account because things get funky. So a regular ETH wallet is best, hot wallet, but also for safety and security reasons, you may or may not choose to use your main wallet. I've never had any issues, and I do use my main wallet is connected, but it's always something just to think about and make your own OPSIC and be safe with whatever you're doing. But good
advice.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I guess that's good advice. And my interpretation on this is, again, everyone on Farcaster has connected wallets. 83% are active in crypto. People are using their wallets to transact. So Farcaster feed is rich. You are not just consuming content, you're interacting on chain. You can mint NFTs. You can pay people with cryptocurrency directly from feed, which we'll demo shortly. So if you are super active on chain, your day-to-day hot wallet that you're using, that you're connected to Farcaster, is probably also not where you're doing your store of value and kind
Correct.
of where you're holding
your long-term plays. Yeah. Your thing that this is probably your checking account, not your savings account kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because you are interacting. And I find that funny because there's a lot of myth around the fact that, there's nothing to do on chain and people are just, shilling meme coins and things like that. And every day there's more and more things to do on chain if you know where to look. And a lot of that's happening on Farcaster. And this is related, so I'll just jump in here. So small transactions dominate, but large deals hold 13% of the outbound activity. Again, I think that's similar to what we were just talking about, where this is going to probably be your hot wallet, your daily transactions and things like that, but you do still see some larger deals happening. And we do know some whales who hide out among us on Farcaster, among the minimos. So there's a little bit of both happening. Adrian, do you want to chat about this a little bit?
So this was from survey data, what people are using cryptocurrency for. Really, trading and investing are the biggest use cases. Less so for staking and yield farming and payments and transactions, and this will show up on the feed as well. People do kind of talk about I think kind of like what they're trading in, what sort of trades they're making. It tends to be a little public, but I don't think this is that different than probably any community.
And this particular data came from, this part was surveys. So it was asking the users of Farcaster, what are you doing with crypto use? not necessarily looking at on-chain data, which is what we're seeing in some of these other transactions. So you're seeing more about the on-chain data here, and then you're seeing the surveys from folks and what are they normally are doing with their crypto. And this seems pretty accurate. Although, again, we are seeing a lot more daily transactions. And some of those you may not be thinking about as cryptocurrency because they may be just doing gas. It may be a free, thing or very low amounts. Like if you're minting on MoshiCam or something along those lines, or playing a game, you might be doing it in a transaction, but it's also not going to be a very high value one. And then this again is related to that. This is the survey data looking at centralized versus decentralized exchanges and with split popularity. So I think that one to me is interesting because you would expect decentralized to be more popular, and it is pretty close. But I do think we see a lot of folks who are using Coinbase Wallet. They are using Coinbase, and I think that's probably related to a lot of this, and Binance and Kraken and some other exchanges. Don't want to leave you out, sorry. But I think there's also a lot of folks who even almost exclusively use decentralized exchanges as well. So Uniswap and Matcha and things like that. And you do see some frames and integrations with some of those DEXs within the ecosystem. Anything else you want to add here, Adrian? This is more just like the survey data.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we're going to get into warps. So Adrian, I'm going to let you take this one and talk about what are warps and how do we use them on Farcaster.
Yeah. So kind of everything we've covered is just kind of I'd say the landscape for cryptocurrency in Farcaster, how people are using it, thoughts. We're going to now shift towards actual currencies, starting with warps. We covered warps in an earlier module. Very interestingly, I'm going to point out warps are not cryptocurrency in that they are not on chain. What warps are is actually in-app currency for Warpcast. So you can purchase them through your settings. You go to your settings in Warpcast, click on your warps, and follow the instructions. Warpcast or Merkle uses Coinbase Commerce for you to purchase warps. Warps cost, it's 100 warps for $1 US. They don't fluctuate in value. They cost a penny each. They will always cost a penny each. And you use warps for transacting within only the Warpcast ecosystem. So this isn't Farcaster protocol wide. If you're using an alternative client, you can't use warps. They're just within Warpcast, which is the main client on Farcaster. You can buy 500 at a time, 2,500 or 10,000, maybe more as well. I think the biggest use case for warps is to create channels. And in our final two modules, we're going to be covering everything you need to know about channels. Channels cost 2,500 warps, 25,000 warps per year to create a channel. But other things you can do with warps are you can tip people with it, send people warps. You can also gift accounts to people. So there's the sign up protocol fee, which at this time I think is about $3 USD. But will continue going down. But if you want to onboard a friend, you can gift them an account using warps. So anything else to add on warps?
I think you said 25,000 and it's 2,500 warps to launch a channel. So just to clarify that.
I apologize.
That's okay. You did say 2,500.
I said 2,500, then I said 25,000. It's 2,500.
Yeah, just to clarify that. There are some other, use cases for warps at various times, such as minting some NFTs can be minted with warps. MoshiCam in particular is one of those use cases as well. But for the most part, right now, warps are primarily being used to launch channels and don't have too many other use cases at this moment. And then we have USDC, which is built in, obviously not a Farcaster specific cryptocurrency stablecoin, but it is the one that is used often and built into the platform. So you'll see within your profile, you'll see a button. Actually, if you go onto somebody else's profile, you won't see it on your own. But if you go onto anyone else's profile, you'll see a little button that says pay. And one of the main option to pay on there is USDC. But you can also then say other and use a another app such as Paybot to send other currencies through. But USDC is built directly in. So you can send USDC to anyone on Farcaster because, again, as we mentioned at the beginning, everybody has a connected wallet, regardless of whether or not they have connected an outside wallet. They have one as soon as they sign up. So this does allow for some things like this. However, easier to deal with if you have a connected wallet. So we do recommend that you do that. So also there's Paybot that allows you within a cast and a cast action to pay somebody for anything using a multiple different currencies. And let me bring up this video that will sort of give you a little demo overview of what the Paybot cast action looks like. So if you go into any cast at the bottom, click the little button that brings you to the cast action. Within here, you'll see a number of different options. Click Paybot and then look for recipient. In this case, I was sending something to Adrian. And I decided to send her 5 degen, but first I was looking through to see if I wanted to change that to something else. And there are, you don't even see all of them in this screenshot because it went off the charts. There are a number of different coins and tokens that you can send via Paybot. So what this does is create a frame for you, and it drops it into a cast. And if you cast this frame, then you will get the frame that looks like this on the top. Whoops. On the top here within your cast, you hit send and it sends to whoever your recipient is. Whoops. And in this case, it was Adrian. So then I got this confirmation that's at the bottom there saying this has been sent to Adrian. On Adrian's side, she is also getting a notification saying that she was sent this this gift, and she will also get. There's also a way for her to then check in her transactions to see where that went. So within the Paybot cast action, the other thing you can do is look at who has sent things to you. So it serves as a little ledger of what has been sent to you as well. So that cast action has 2 purposes, super useful. And then the other thing is you can also just tag Paybot and tell it what you want to do. So you can just go in and start a cast and say, hey, Paybot, at Paybot, I want to pay Adrian 5 degen, and then it will reply back to you with a frame that you can then transact and send those funds to Adrian or whoever your recipient is. What's really fun, and what we're going to talk more about in our next module, is that we have some bots talking to each other now. So some of the bots have learned how to do some payments to each other or to other people, and they essentially can call this Paybot to do those transactions. And that is what's getting really interesting. We'll dive more into that when we talk about meme coins in our next module. And just really quick, our next module will be talking about meme coins and crypto use cases. We'll talk about some frames and different things that are happening right now. And we'll also dive into the AI agents who are helping people create meme coins directly on Farcaster. Adrian, as this sort of intro to cryptocurrencies on Farcaster, what did I leave out? Is there anything else that you want to mention, sort of for the basics of what they need to know? And then we'll dive into all the meme coin stuff in our next module.
Yeah, the next module will be the insanity portion. This module is the sanity side. I think I'll just underscore the kind of the two things we talked about, which were warps, not on chain, not decentralized, kind of a point system in the Warpcast, and USDC, which is a stable coin. USDC is really Merkel's preferred currency. In our last module on culture, we did talk about kind of whether or not there would ever be a Farcaster token, and everything that the core team has said again and again and again is no, and not interested. And I find it interesting that they kind of have chosen to really standardize around USDC because it's not really speculative. It doesn't change in value, but it is their way of spreading value throughout the network. What's interesting as well is it's not something that the Merkel team had to build. So this is like because going back to what we said from the very beginning is Farcaster is built on crypto rails. Everybody has a connected wallet, and therefore Paybot, for instance, is a tool that was built by someone who has no connection to the Merkel team. So, you can, and all users can really transact and send currencies, send value, send money to any other user like that. Like, if you think about what it would take for any other social network to add payments in, you have a social graph. To add payments, you have to go through entire legacy payment and financial infrastructure that exists today, including getting licenses state by state, and that's just in our country. And so because it's all crypto native, anyone can send anyone money very easily, and Warpcast can add that feature in the UI. Like, I think it took a day for them to do that. So it is extremely promising. There's a ton of potential for the intersection, I think, of social and finance.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Great, amazing points there. And the other thing is that the Merkel team has been doing an experiment with rewarding content creators, and the top content creators of each day, 100, they send $5 USDC. They can do that very easily. You don't need to get all of your payment information, that you don't have to send them your Venmo. They just do it. And then you get a little notification in your notifications, hey, you just got this USDC reward, congrats. And it's all happening very seamlessly in the background. So very cool to see.
And you just said Venmo, which shows our Western bias, or not even Western, it's our American, right? Like, it's not in every country. Like, I can't Venmo people. So, and Farcaster's global. So because it was connected, everyone had connected wallets. If they wanted to send five USDC to 100 people, it was like, boom, super easy.
Boom. Yep. So it's very, there's a lot of these Lego blocks that we talk about that we've only scratched the surface at this point. So it's going to be really fun to see what gets built. And I was thinking about also, Adrian, you had casted something from Andrew Yang. Andrew Yang posted on Twitter. He takes his reward that he gets from Twitter and he gives it to somebody within his replies. And he basically just does a little Twitter picker and picks one of them and has to get their information to be able to send it to them and all this stuff. And he said, it would be great if I could reward multiple people just very easily. And we can do that. And we know that we can do that. So it's and you had a point of like, it can already happen. So it's just a matter of like, it's because we're built on crypto rails and we can do all kinds of fun things. And we'll talk more about some of those fun integrations like raindrops and things like that, where you can sort of drop various cryptocurrencies to multiple people in one shot. So there's a lot of that that's happening in different ways from tools that are being built on top of Farcaster. And with that, Adrienne, anything else before we wrap this particular module?
No, I think we covered the basics of cryptocurrencies. Don't forget, join us in office hours, ask us questions. If you have questions also about kind of like the mechanics of how do you connect a wallet, what are these things, we are available. That's what the office hours are for. We can do screen shares, help you out, whatever it is. So make sure you pop in and we would be delighted to help you out.
Perfect. All right, everybody. And that is it for us. We'll see you in module 8. Bye-bye. Farcaster 101 is an educational series brought to you by GM Farcaster in partnership with Snickerdoodle, building off of their State of Farcaster report, which you can access at snickerdoodle.com. This 12-part series introduces all aspects of the Farcaster ecosystem and helps you get started building your social graph and brand on Farcaster. GM Farcaster, and we are back with another Farcaster 101, Module 8, and we're continuing on with our chat about meme coins. So we're going to jump right in to our discussion today. We're going to be talking about how sort of meme coins came about on Farcaster, what makes them a little different than other platforms. Some of those specific meme coins that have taken off on the platform like Degen, Ham, Hire, Moxie, and others. And we're going to also talk a little bit about some of the integrations and things that have been built on top of these coins or incorporating the different tokens. And then tipping culture, which has really taken off on Farcaster and has become a big part of our ecosystem. So we're going to start here. So Adrienne, you want to do a little review of what we chatted about in the last module?
Yeah, so in module 7, we just were introducing kind of cryptocurrencies on Farcaster. And we just did a review because Farcaster being a blockchain-based social network, it's built on optimism. That gives all sorts of benefits you get from a social network perspective. So because Farcaster is a blockchain network, users own our identities, our accounts. No one can take them away. It's full self-sovereignty. Everybody has our own wallet attached. We get censorship resistance. It's permissionless building. So that's all great from a social network perspective. But because it is built on crypto rails, you also get just all sorts of financialization just inherently built in because everybody has a wallet when you sign up for Farcaster. Even if you're not crypto native, even if you've never had a wallet before, everybody gets an Ethereum wallet. You can bring your own wallets and attach your own wallet. So every user on Farcaster has an Ethereum wallet attached to their account, which means just if you want to do any sort of payments, rewards, send value, send currency, send tokens, it's just built in and not just to Warpcast the client, but at the protocol level. So tons of potential for kind of integrating any sort of like financial transactions directly in the social feed.
Exactly. So meme coins sort of took off around this time last year. And I just realized I spelled meme coins wrong, but we're just going to leave that there. And we're going to pretend that says meme instead of mem. But I remember the coins when they launched. And the first one was Points. And that was launched on mainnet. And it was a play on, there was a moment, there was a meta about points. And it was kind of around the time that Rainbow launched Points, but didn't really say what the points were for or anything like that, as well as some other, points meta that was happening at that moment. And so a dev on Farcaster launched Points. And one of the things they did was airdrop it to a lot of OG holders. So literally those who were holding the OG NFT And it kind of went from there. And although that didn't see a lot of success for many reasons, it got a little overwhelming for the dev who created it because of the attention that he wasn't expecting. And that sort of went by the wayside. And then Farts launched. And Bill, we love Bill Z, but really wished he had picked a different term, but it was fun at the time. So Farts was a little different because it was created to benefit directly Purple DAO. And Purple is the DAO that was created to support Farcaster builders. So all the sort of benefit from this particular coin went into the DAO's treasury and was able to fund some really cool things for them. So that was also on mainnet, and the DAO at that time was on mainnet. And then we had Wow Wow. Now, this was a play on another meme. We talked about it in our discussion on culture. You'll see the Wow Wow reaction. If you ever type Wow Wow into a cast, it will change the heart into a Wow Wow. So it had a little moment as well. And then a token was created based on that meme that was already living on Farcaster. So it was taking a meme that already existed on Farcaster and turning it into a token rather than the other way around with some of these other ones. So Wow Wow, again, had just a little bit of a blip. It didn't really have a lot of staying power, but it was sort of that first sort of moment on base as a meme coin where folks started to see like this could be a whole different experience. And then came DGen. So Adrian, tell us a little bit about DGen, what it is and why is it special and different from some of the other coins?
Yeah, so DGen was a token that launched in Farcaster, I guess at the very beginning of 2024. So January 2024, just another meme coin. There was a DGen channel in Farcaster where was building a community of crypto degens. And with out of the, as we started seeing more and more meme coins launch, not just in Farcaster, but kind of in other areas as well, DGen was created as a token. What was different, I think, about DGen 1, there was an initial airdrop. What's interesting, also similar, I guess, to points is because social graph data is open, the airdrop was using different data from the Farcaster graph. So some of it went to people who were active on Farcaster. I don't remember if it was OGs specifically or just people who were active. Yeah. And then it also...
It was OGs, it was power users, it was those who were interacting in the DGen channel. So, and again, the DGen channel itself was created before the token, but it did use some of that as well to increase the airdrop.
Yeah. And like all good meme tokens, typically the token should come after the meme and not the other way around. So, so DGen launched, and what was new about it was the mechanism for distributing the token. Not everything was available upfront. It was being released in different phases. And the mechanism was going to be through something that was eventually was called tipping, which just meant that people on the feed could distribute out DGen just through comments in a feed. So if Nounish Prof casted something and I liked what she said, I could just add a comment in a reply and just say, 100 DGen with the symbol for DGen. And then that would be me kind of distributing some DGen token to Nounish Prof. It didn't necessarily come from my allocation of DGen. Everyone had like an allocation of tips that they could give out. So it was a novel mechanism and it really exploded. It was coincidentally launching around the same time as Frames, which we've covered before, but Frames being a new primitive that let developers build very small interactive experiences, but directly in the feed. So what we saw was just a massive influx of users coming to Farcaster in kind of late January, February, as DGen was taking off and Frames was available.
So much so that when the Frames launched, as we mentioned, there was a frame you could purchase Girl Scout cookies in, and you could do that with DGen. So I famously paid 90,000 DGen for 6 boxes of Girl Scout cookies, purposefully, intentionally. Yes, I wanted my Bitcoin pizza moment. So it's it kind of took on its life of its own. The ecosystem took to it. The tipping mechanic is really different because instead of allotting the whole airdrop at once to certain people, it then sort of trickled it out over time, where you have this up to 10,000 DGen allowance that you can still do. There's some certain requirements on that. You can find all that at dgen.tips. But it allows you to distribute on behalf of the protocol. You're not, like Adrian said, you're not taking it out of your own wallet. It's something that the DGen project is giving to you to distribute. And then you're able to claim those that are distributed to you at certain, like at the end of the month, each month. So very different mechanic. And the other thing with the sort of meme development and how it developed over time was this sort of memification of D-gentleman. And we kind of, there was a little pushback by the ladies. They're like, what about D-ladies? So it's D-gentleman and D-ladies. But it became this top hat, this sort of top hat vibe. I think Oxen was involved in some of that discussion, one of the sort of Farcaster artists, OG artists. This top hat sort of became the symbol for DGen. It was worked into the logo. And it's one of the other reacts that you'll see on Farcaster. So if you use the top hat symbol, or no, if you type in DGen, if you type in DGen or use the top hat, I can't remember which, the little symbol becomes a top hat. So I think it's if you type in the word DGen. So just a fun little mechanical quirk of the platform that makes it just a little bit more enjoyable, little moments of joy that I love. They also launched an L3. So there's been a lot of building on top of it, as well as a lot of permissionless apps. And you can find all these in the apps section of dgen.tips. And some of those apps are games. There's a really fun one where you can tip to people, but you do it via a game. And it's just really fun. So there's all these different, the builder energy just sort of dropped on top of this token. And it's what's kept it sustaining for this whole time. So it's been about 10 months. That is a very long life for a meme coin. And so I think that the difference is the thoughtful dev at the core of it, as well as the builder energy around Farcaster that's helped to keep it going beyond just the speculative nature of coins in general. Anything else on that, Adrian, that I may have forgotten?
Just the dev behind DGen is doxed. We know who that is. It's Jacek. He was on our show. We did a GM Farcaster interview early on when DGen launched, and then a follow-up a few months later. So we'll drop those links as well if you want to learn more about DGen. Those are good episodes to catch up on.
Yes, great. And then we have other coins that have launched since then, and many have a similar tipping mechanic. One of those is Ham. And Ham has a lot of similarities to DGen in terms of how it's distributed, except I believe that the Ham tipping is actually coming from your own personal allocation. I'm not positive, but I believe that's how it works. There's a lot more information that you can find on ham.fun. And this has its own community that's very active on Farcaster. They also have an L3. So they've been doing a lot in terms of building on top of that token. And then there's Moxie. And Adrian, can you share a little? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, just say one thing on Ham. They also have their own emoji.
They do have their own emoji. Yes.
Whereas DGen has the purple top hat. Ham has a ham bone.
It's a ham bone
emoji. And
that's what's used for tipping. It's the ham bone and then whatever the amount is. Yeah. So that is it's a little fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So feedback we've gotten from new people to Farcasters, they come in and they see things like top hats and ham bones and ham and DGen. And it can feel overwhelming. They don't know where to begin. It's just that's their meme coins, and they have communities around them. one of our favorite Farcaster users named Naomi, whose handle is at AfroChicks, created a great minute video, kind of TikTok style of what it feels like in real life to walk through the Farcaster feed of people throwing hams in your face. So we can link that as well if you want to check
we'll
that
put
out.
that in the notes. It is quite funny.
And then,
yeah.
So yeah, and ham was similar, again, similar to Degen in terms of mechanics, I think slightly different. And then Moxie had a big launch this summer. Moxie was built by the team at Airstack. Airstack was previously doing a lot of Farcaster infrastructure and Farcaster APIs. The vision for Moxie is similar, I think, to Degen and Ham, which is the idea that people should be paid for their content, and that financialization in a social network is not a bad thing, that it can be good, that in the Web 2 worlds, there's a lot of money in social, but it's accruing really to the network, not to the network participants. So it goes to the corporate networks. So, the Metas of the world and the Twitters take most of the monetary, and the users who are generating all the value does not. So the vision always has been where users are generating the value of a social network, users should participate or in the upside. So the vision for Moxie was another token where the distribution of Moxie happens not through tipping mechanisms, which you can see on your feed through people actually doing it, but it just happens automatically based on likes, recasts, and replies. So it is kind of algorithmically determined based on organic engagement in the feed.
And you can learn more in the Airstack channel, or airstack.xyz, I believe is the link. And we'll have these links for you in the notes as well. And just a note on all of this, every single token that we've mentioned, NFA, not financial advice. Please do your own research, because there is a lot of risk of loss involved with playing around with cryptocurrencies, especially meme coins. They are a very volatile asset. So if you are playing around with these, just be very careful and know that you should treat it like a casino, and only risk what you're willing to lose. So just a safety note there. And this is in regards to any meme coin of any kind, anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I go so far as to say, you say they're volatile assets. I always go far to say they're not even all assets.
They're not. I think that's so accurate. Yeah, accurate. Definitely accurate. I think what Moxie brought here, what Moxie brought that was different, and each one of these has had a different innovation, the ones that we're highlighting, and they had a different approach. And I think with Moxie, sort of stripping away the overt tipping and making it a little bit more seamless, was trying to solve the problem of having a feed that was full of, 616 degen everywhere, and those kind of commenting things that might be ruining or disrupting, I would say, maybe not ruining, but disrupting your normal feed. So yeah. Sorry, and I cut you off. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to add that our goal for these modules is to give you a history of meme coins on Farcaster. It's not how do you invest in meme coins on Farcaster, right. And that is definitely not. So there's in our cultures on module and stuff we've talked about. In our modules on culture and things we've talked about in previous Farcaster 101 modules, we keep saying Farcaster is for builders. So it is a new emerging space. There is a ton of novel behavior happening. Great for building. If you want to come and speculate, that's people do that, but that's not really our stance here. Is just kind of being giving you the history of Farcaster, and meme coins have definitely been. You can't talk about Farcaster without talking about meme coins.
Exactly. Speaking of another innovation in culture, meme coins and culture with Hire. So Hire was launched within the Farcaster ecosystem. So those are sort of the early holders, and the founders met each other through that ecosystem. as well as the Nouns ecosystem. So it's sort of bringing those two things together. And they launched Hire with a fair launch. Anyone who was in the Hire channel at that time, I believe, received an airdrop. But the team itself doesn't hold anything extra beyond that. So a little different. But the idea behind Hire is really to focus on the memes of Hire and the concept of always trying to strive for higher ideals, higher values, etc. So a little different vibe than other coins you might see, but it's found a lot of success within that sort of builder energy as well, and has inspired a lot of different folks to go out there and build all different things, whether that's podcasts or skateboards or, other kinds of merch, hats and things like that, as well as athletics. Hire athletics, Hire run club. So there's a lot of different sub communities that are starting to form around Hire, as well as it does have a strong art focus. And it was launched by a couple of artists that were involved in the launch, and Light is one of them, LGHT on Farcaster, and has a certain aesthetic that a lot of people vibe with and really enjoy. So that's been part of that success as well. Anything else about Hire that we should mention? You can go check Hire FM as well with our friend Chic Bangs, who does a radio program where she does interviews and music, which is really cool as well. And that's a great place to learn more.
Yeah, and I think Hire is just a great example of a token that it kind of goes alongside a community.
Mm-hmm.
But the community exists with or without the token.
Yeah.
It's like the community does feel substantial, and it's there with or without the token. So that's as opposed to kind of a token driven community.
I think that's a great way to put that. And there's the whole sort of other part of this was the experiment around a headless brand, and that's the connection to Nouns as well, which is a DAO, which is also a headless brand. So the idea is, can you grow this without there being a centralized team that's always the one who has to push everything? And that's what you see happening here, is the community launching their own pieces of this culture. And a few other apps and integrations. A lot of the meme coins that we've talked about are also integrated in other apps and frames that you'll find on Farcaster that have been built on Farcaster, like Bountycaster. You can launch bounties in different token denominations, like Hire, like Degen. I think Wow was the first one that was a meme coin that was integrated. And then Paybot, same thing. So if you want to pay somebody in a different token amount, you can do that using Paybot. And you may even see an AI agent paying people with Hire. It does happen using Paybot. Also cast actions, same thing. You can do a lot of things like paying and different interactions. There are some games that involve different tokens, like Degen tipping, which we mentioned earlier. And there are a lot of frames, either informational frames that will give you information about, here's what you have left for a tipping allowance, things like that, or other statistics, or other fun ways to integrate into frames. Like if you launch a Ponder survey, you might win some Degen or OP or Moxie. If you play the game with the Perks team, where you're trying to guess which movie it is based on a blurry image, you might earn some Moxie there. So there's different integrations into different frames and apps that are on Farcaster. Anything else there that I may have forgotten, Adrienne?
The Snickerdoodle share to earn frames, another great example for how you can integrate tokens within experiences. And I think it just goes to show, this is composability in action. So different communities are launching different tokens, but the tokens exist on the blockchain, which means anyone has access to that information and can build on top of it and build. So it's we're seeing just the very, very early days of experimentation and creativity with various composable Legos. And we're already, it's exciting already, and it still just feels very, very early.
Very early.
So
We are very early. And speaking of early, AI and meme coins. So this happened in the past week or so. I think it's only been a little over a week. Seems much longer. Is the launch of the AI token bot called Clanker. And we just interviewed Proxy Studio, who is the creator of the AI bot Clanker. And so you can go check that out. That was from episode 181, and we'll link that in the notes as well. And that will give you a lot more detail on what exactly is happening. But in a quick summary, this bot, if it is up on online, if you tag it in a post, it will help you create a meme coin and launch it right there. It will give you a full token page, including the deck screener and a embedded Uniswap thing where you can swap right there. So it's got everything built in. It's quite impressive because you're just essentially typing a cast, hitting send, and the bot's taking it over from there. It's so easy that a bot launched a token with Clanker. So one bot talked to another bot and they launched a token together. And that is currently up and running everywhere. So it's been a really fun innovation, and it's something to definitely keep an eye on and watch what happens next, because there's going to be more built on top of that as well. Anything else you want to mention about that, Adrian?
I'll just comment. It's so fascinating because we started this module on the history of meme coins and Farcaster with the points and the WoW tokens, which were human generated on mainnet.
Yeah.
And not integrated into your feed. And they still took off and were popular. So you went from kind of human generated mainnet tokens to less than 12 months later.
Yep.
To AI generated tokens using a bot on the feed. There was a time when we could actually tell you, here are the 4 or 5 tokens that are exist. It's like infinite now. So
yeah, I couldn't even begin.
Imagine it is, at least at this moment that we're recording, is Farcaster's kind of obscene AI meme coin moment.
Yep.
But yes, it's early, and we'll see where this goes and how this develops. And it's, I think from a developer standpoint, there's a lot of interesting primitives being built, and
that's the exciting part.
Exciting place to be building. Yeah.
Very exciting to just see the different innovations, different approaches, different experimentation. But Clanker, we kind of agree. I am growing wary of the pace of your speculative mania. That was from the bot. It needed a break. But anyway, it's been a lot of fun though. So we hope you come and check that out if you're not already familiar. And in our next module, we're going to talk about content creation and best practices, and we'll share some of our favorite content creators on Farcaster and give you some tips for creating different content. And Adrian, anything else you want to say about meme coins before we sign off this module, or anything else that I may have missed?
I think we covered it. If cryptocurrency is not your thing, if meme coins isn't your thing, if trading, it's totally okay. There are tons of people in Farcaster who don't touch a meme coin at all and have great experiences. If it is your thing, there's also many more rabbit holes you can dig into and go deeper in and deeper into it. So hope these modules were helpful in just kind of understanding the lay of the land and the history. And, wherever you stand, have fun and be safe.
Have fun and be safe. And again, be safe out there. Meme coins do have a risk of loss, so be careful with any investing that you may do. And with that, we will see you again next time, where we talk about content. We'll also be available in office hours to answer any questions about this or anything else you may have learned in our Farcaster 101 series. And with that, everybody, bye-bye.